What's up, guys? You know who it is. It's your boy Kenny with Jdm Muscle. And that's right, we're back in front of the 350Z drift car, and today we are adding another part. Today is going to be by GKtech. I love GKtech, guys. I use them for most of everything I can when it comes to angle kits, handbrakes, whatever it may be. And that's what we're doing today. On the Z33 or the 350Z, they do make a pretty easy drop-in and inexpensive angle kit. It will give you up to 60 degrees of steering angle. I know other kits will give you up to 70. I think stock angle is about 30%. So getting you up to 60% is gonna be plenty for what we're trying to do with this car. So here in a second, I'll come up close. I'll show you what comes into the kit. The kit is $309 before you add rack spacer. So I think I paid about 350 bucks for it, guys. But how cheap when it comes to an angle kit, so you're not spending 1,500 or 2,000 bucks. So let's get started so we can drift this. All right, guys, getting inside the GKtech box. Directions, that's always nice to have. Tons of stickers like always. Otherwise, getting into the kit itself, boom, pretty easy, guys. Of course, pretty easy. Got the full kit right here. All new rubber. See if I can get one of these out with one hand. So this is basically the whole kit. This is just going to go on. It does look like we're just going to attach to the inner tie rod. It's just going to be basically an extension kit. I will go over it a little more clearly after I have read the directions and kind of know what's going on. So of course, guys, first thing you should always do, get the car securely on some jack stands. From here, let's take off both front tires and let's get into it. On a stock Z, it is a 13/16, but if you have aftermarket lugs, who knows what yours is going to be. All right, guys, and I want to show just how much stock angle we get. In all honesty, with the wheel cranked all the way, guys, you just don't get any, and that's why we're adding this angle. All right, guys, so I'm not going to lie, the directions are kind of shit. But with that being said, I can tell you that these two 14s need to come off. Really move this bracket inside here, this 19 mil holding on your lower control arm. That does need to be removed as well. So I am going to start with removing these two and removing this big 19. So this can break free. I do have a ball joint popper, so I will be able to pop down my lower control. Of course, right away I can get one bolt out of the 14, the other one broke inside. So at this point, I'm trying to get my drill in here. I just don't have enough angle, so I did take the 19 mil off the lower control arm. So at this point, I'm gonna use my ball joint separator, put it in between, pop this off, and then from there, of course, we're gonna have to work on this for the kit, and then of course it bolts up here. But I want to be able to unhook this so I can get a little more angle on this so I can drill this out as straight as possible. So right now I'm going to get my ball joint separator, pry it in there, tighten it down. Right, so now that we've got the ball joint separator on there, we're tightening it down. Scary part is, always scares the shit out of me when it finally does pop. So I like to get it on there, hammer it all the way on, and then slowly tighten it down. Every time it pops, it does scare me because I never know exactly how far it's going to go. But we'll keep twisting her slowly until it pops. It's got to be close because I have a lot of pressure on it. Just always scares the shit out of me. I've never had one take this long either. All right, guys, so I was able to get this out. What I ended up having to do was I bought an extractor kit, could not get it, so I just ended up drilling this all the way out. Luckily, with the top, I can actually hit it from the back side, so I am going to put a new bolt, and I'm going to put a new bolt all the way through and a nut on the end, and luckily that will work. Otherwise, guys, now from underneath, there is a 19 millimeter we have to remove here. After we remove this, we're going to have to start removing this, because, of course, now we're getting rid of this end for this, which will go in place. So I'll back out a little bit. This is going to take place of this smaller ball joint right here. So that'll go right in place, and this will go on right like that. All right, guys, now that we have the cotter pin out of this 19 here, we're going to take this off. And then over here, let's come on, loosen this bolt right here. And then from here, this can just screw right off since we won't need this anymore. So let's take this off. I am spraying everything with WD-40 or PB Blaster. Just really helps out, guys. So I'd recommend the same. Oh man, not easy to do with one hand. So I'm gonna screw this all the way off, just like that. And then let's zip this 19 mil. Guys, now that that is all off, On the passenger side, I did have to buy a spacer, a rack spacer. So we're gonna have to take this inner tie rod off. So I'm gonna have to take this last plastic shield off. Inside there, we're gonna have to take this whole thing off, add that rack spacer, then put it all back on. And then this side will be done. All right, guys, and I always like to use a big set of pliers, clamp right on there, break it loose, and then you can screw it out. And this all will come out. And then next we need to put in that spacer. All right, guys, so I did want to point out, once you get this out of the kit, you are gonna have to put this together. It does not put the rubber sleeve over it, so that is gonna have to be adjusted. Plus, each one of these, if you flip it inside or outside, will give you less or more steering acronym. So I'm gonna go as much as possible. So I did flip them towards the inside, both of them. And of course it does say put Loctite on it. I'm gonna leave it hand tight for now, since it does need to go into the car and I need to keep adjusting everything. All right, guys, here's that rack spacer I purchased. It does not come with the kit. You do need to push and add this rack spacer in. I've had this kit before, or one very similar on another Z of mine. Now it does say put a little Loctite, so I'm gonna put some. Goddamn, she went in pretty thick, but that should be good, guys, because we don't want this to come loose. And then I'm gonna get my big butt under the car again. And this rack spacer just goes in the old steering rack. And then this, of course, will go back into this now. So that'll be the difference. All right, guys, now that that is on, I'm gonna tighten the shit out of it, and then we're gonna put this one back in, and I'm gonna put just a little bit of Loctite on that one as well, but I don't need this one to be seized in there, because from here, we're not gonna remove that rack. All right, guys, so now we're to the pain in the butt part. So of course, once we have this on, it does say to make sure to add Loctite in here, so do add your Loctite. I need to add some right now. I did just do the other side, I'm trying to work each side at a time. So of course, it's gonna go on something like this. We're gonna have to adjust this though. Now, the part that I am not a pro on, I was just tightening this all the way on because I'm not sure exactly where this is going to need to be adjusted. But I figured at least if I had this all the way on, we know that it's not going to possibly break off and it's going to have enough thread. See how it does say minimum 15 millimeters? That's at least, I mean, once we put the angle farther and farther out, these parts are farther and farther out. As we put weight on them, it's putting more stress on this. So of course, more threads that we can basically tighten down on, more secure it's gonna be. Otherwise, you'll see people that they won't put much thread here and then parts break because it just doesn't have enough support. So I wanna make sure we have support. So I'm gonna work on this. Now, here's the part that is always confusing. Once I put both sides on, you'll see that your wheels are not gonna be straight. So that's when you're gonna have to come here and adjust this to straighten the wheels back out. I try to get mine as straight as I can and then toe out just a little bit. That way it does help counter steer. But it'd probably be much easier if you could actually take it to a shop after you were done so that they could actually zero it in. But you know, here at Jdm Muscle, we do our own. All right, guys, so this is what we're trying to adjust the lower control arm right now. If she backs out a little bit, you can see we have both sides on. Now, this side was tilted really far in, and the other side was tilted in as well. So what I'm doing is spinning. The nice thing about this GKtech right here, this product, as I spin this left or right, it works down one way of the bar or up the other way. So we're actually allowed to, I've got some pliers on here right now. So as I spin this inside, it's actually straightening this back out. So that's what I'm doing right now. This is the worst part because it's super tedious and it's slow, but I have to keep twisting it and twisting it, and this wheel will start to toe out. Something I wanted to point out, when I had to put the spacer on the passenger side tie rod, the directions, of course, they're not the greatest, but they do actually point it out. So look down at the directions. With that being said, here's that rack spacer for the passenger side tie rod. Now, if you've seen the video on accident, I had slipped this over. This thin rack spacer is for the driver's side. So in my video, I had this slid on, so I did have to come back and take it off. So this rack spacer goes on the passenger side. this thin rack spacer on the driver's side. Just so you guys know, passenger side gets a big spacer, driver's side gets a small little ring. Otherwise, guys, at this point, both sides I have evened out as straight as I can. The best way to do this is to actually get, they do make devices to measure camber, and then of course, you know, measure angle. I do need to get a couple of those now that I am doing more and more of these kits. That way I do know that both sides are centered out. Otherwise, you can always take it to, you know, a bell tire or somebody like that, or somebody that knows how to set up suspension. Otherwise, from here, guys, I'm going to, now that I've tightened everything up, I'm gonna put the tires on. From there, still keeping these loose so I can get underneath the car and adjust this to make sure that these are where I want them angled. So everything is tight except just this that we've been moving to adjust the front suspension, or the front steering. So from here, of course, it is time to get the tires back on. So let's take our time and get these back on. I just like to get them all on, and then I'll go back and snug them on. All right, guys, let's put the other tire on, check our angle, see where we're sitting, see if they're both flush. Let's check and make sure we don't hit anything. Now that we're at full, or as much angle as we can get. And then, guys, from there, it's just putting it down on the ground and hitting the track, which is tomorrow. But if you're watching this video, it might be a couple days. All right, guys, so walking around both sides, I have them both exactly where I want to be. So from here, let's lower the car, back it off my stands, and let's see how. All right, guys, so that is officially a wrap on this video. That was installing the GKtech angle kit. Like I said, it's $309 with spacer. I think the sales tax comes to about $350. You do get free shipping on that because it is so much money. Otherwise, guys, I hope you enjoyed this build video. Please watch all the steps. Even if you know what you're doing, sometimes it's nice just to have a little remembrance. Otherwise, guys, like always, if you are a fan of G Fuel, I do get a 20% discount code, Jdm Muscle. We'll save you 20% on all their products site-wide. And my Jdm Muscle stickers are for sale. So DM me. I've got 3 sizes, littles, mediums, and then the big window display for your back window. Otherwise, guys, peace out, and until next time.